whatever. I'm so always looking to pitch stuff. That's freelancing. That's the game. Number one. Number two, um, I had an interesting. I don't think I can work a menial day job ever again. It was funny. No, it's like seriously. I so last week was it was not last week, but the week before. I was working a day job, and after the third day I was there, they just let me go. And honestly, I did nothing wrong. It's one of those things where you're just like, they say you don't fit and you don't belong there, and I'm like, blank, 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 blank. But I did nothing wrong.
Right.
They still haven't told me anything. So I had that moment, and it was kind of like, I think I'm done working a menial job. Like when you get like one of those things that kind of just happens to you, and you just kind of just recognize it's like, why did this really happen to me?
Yeah,
because you don't fit here anymore. And you knew that going in that you just didn't fit. You were just looking for some extra cash, right? Right. But apparently the universe is saying, nope, you just don't fit. Like, nope, you can't play this game no more.
Right.
This
is not where we want you.
Yeah. We don't want you there anymore. And I'm like, okay, you're the boss of me. And so I'm like, okay, but I do need some kind of steady income somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so what do I do? It's like, well, where do you want to be? Not here. Because in my head, it's like not here. So where would you want to be? Back in Alberta or in British Columbia. Okay. So you're gonna just quietly look for work. In the meantime, you're gonna freelance and you're gonna get sponsors and you're gonna do your thing because you don't need to leave.
Right.
But I kind of want to leave. I kind of hit that point where it's just like, if I'm not gonna be able to get anything here, if I need steady work, why am I even here? It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So again, the 50.
Well, good luck. I hope that you something, but also at the same time, I hope that the freelancing stuff is really what lands for you because obviously that's what you're most excited about.
Oh yeah, no. Well. See, I could work a day job if I could do anything the following. This is stuff I've applied for. Being a sports host for a television network because I think I have a big enough mouth. I'd have a big enough mouth I could do it. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, I truly do possess the big mouth to pull this off. And oh boy, do I have something to tell you about your local little league team. I can do that. Don't care.
Yeah.
Not even like, I think I can actually make that fun. Like, even if I would, like,
you have a little on-air experience.
Yeah. It's a part-time gig. I can have some fun. That'd be cool. Podcast producer for TELUS. I think looking at the episode number I'm at, the fact that I've won awards doing this, I think I'm qualified for that job. I think I could do it.
Yeah.
I think I could do it. And some writing jobs too. Like if I'm doing what I love and getting paid for what I love to do, I don't care. Like I can totally be a corporate. So hey, wait, you're writing about like glitter. Let's figure it out. Fuck it. Right? I'll figure it out. Right?
I'm gonna write the best stuff about glitter you've ever read in your entire life.
Damn right. I'm ready. Right? I don't care. It could be tiddlywinks. I don't know what the fuck to do with the tiddlywinks. I like you just like that's where I like you hit that point where it's like I just don't give a fuck, right? Like it's what I want to do. Something I like, and again, freelancing wise, I can say one thing with absolute, I've done it. Right. I've made a living wage on a weekly basis with freelancing. I haven't been able to do that consistently yet.
Right.
But I've done it. There was 1 week I made more money. I took more home in 1 week than I ever did working for anybody, and that includes when I was making $25 an hour. So it's like that's a cool accomplishment. That is a really cool accomplishment.
That's awesome,
right?
Man.
But you gotta build and go and like I said, I don't mind. Like I like if I'm going to work for somebody, it's going to be a cool job, right? Fuck this menial bullshit. Just that's menial bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I had a conversation with my dad. It's like, yeah, so you can always go back to like Calgary and work at 7. Like, no, I'm not working at 7-Eleven. I'm
beyond that.
I'm done. Like I'm just done. Like that will never. Could you talk me into working those places again? Sure, if the price is right, but let's be honest, those places aren't gonna be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's me. I know we don't no one talks about honest how are yous, but that's literally as how are you as you can honestly get. How
I
about
actually
you?
really appreciate that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that you did give the honest answer there.
Yeah. I mean, there's other things I'm kind of worried about. I mean, I could talk about like what I'm watching going on in Israel with the vaccines there, and
Yeah.
going,
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't
Yeah.
want that. But not in my control. But in my control, like that's what's going on with me
Right.
this moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So, but what's up with you?
Oh my gosh. Since the last time I talked to you, I basically took my life and went like this. So I had been teaching since 2004, so 17 years of teaching, and I finally said I need to stop, and I need to be like Josh, and I need to go out and freelance and really pursue my passions. So I quit my job, and I have enough money saved up to get me going for a few months here, and we'll see what happens. And it's been an exciting couple of months. Some really interesting opportunities have presented themselves, and I'm excited to see those through and see what those lead to. And can't talk about any of them yet, but I'm excited
No,
to
no,
talk
no.
about when they happen. And then and then I've just been writing, and I started a web series to practice my scoring, and that's been a lot of fun. And so yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've been excited to talk to you because since last we spoke, I've got a new book, I've got a
Yeah,
web series. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff to talk about, so it's
yeah.
exciting.
Wow. So okay. I'm gonna say this like this is purely my ego and big head talking for a minute. I always get really surreal that it's like you're inspired by me, right? Even if
Oh yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Just it's weird because it's just like, dude, I don't have it all together at
None
all.
of us do.
No.
But that's the thing, right? Like none of us have it fully figured out. I mean, even the people who look like they've got it figured out don't have it figured out. So it's, what I find most exciting about what you do is you're always putting inspirational messages out there. Somehow you wake up before me every morning. I don't know if you're like programming those messages to be released first thing
Oh
in the
no, no,
morning or what, but
no. So I'm one of those late night dudes.
yeah.
I'm going to the wee hours of the morning usually, and I go and um I work best like when I get up. Like this sounds terrible. I wake up like the crack of noon
Mm-hmm.
Eastern time, and it's like let's go, right. I still think I like that's why I think I'm going to go end up going back out west eventually, is because I still think like like someone that lives out there. It's like I
Yeah.
get up around like that. It hasn't but regardless of how that works out, I'm working like sometimes I'm goofing off I did the very adult thing, is taking a nap right before this conversation, because that's as adult as I get. Hey, listen, naps fucking rule. The only
Oh,
oh
big
god,
fan. You don't have to
yeah,
sell it to me. Total big
yeah,
fan. Yeah.
naps fucking rule. I'm not at that point where I do them every day yet, but there are going to be. I know there are days you're like, you know what, I could take an hour. I could sleep for an hour, and that would be great. I would feel so much better. Unplugging is good. It's actually healthy to unplug a little bit.
I mean, 3-year-old, so she's still taking naps during the day, and my wife and I, well, we don't have anything going on for the next few hours. We should take a nap too, and so I'm a big fan. Go, naps are
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, it's like, okay, you don't have anything to do, let's do it. It's like, and you gotta get your own cuddle time too with the missus sometimes when you can, because I know a kid is the center of your universe. They're at 3 years old,
Yeah,
so
3 years old.
that's gotta wear you out, man. Like, I'm not,
Yeah,
I mean, in the best possible way. Don't get me wrong, but it's
absolutely.
like sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, how did she find this energy? I don't like this too much. How did this happen?
Right. Yeah. Well, we stay busy over here. I have 3 daughters, and they all are very busy. So we keep busy in this household for sure.
Cool. So
Yeah.
how old is your oldest?
So the oldest is 15. She'll be
Okay,
16 this December, which is wild because she'll start driving soon, which is, you know, exciting and terrifying all at the same time.
that's
And then
right.
I have a 12-year-old, and she's been reading all these book series all summer. It's been really fun to watch her do it. But she's on the last Harry Potter book right now. She's read all of them in a row.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, she's just ripping through these books, like
Oh yeah,
reading them
no.
and destroying them. It's awesome.
Well, no, like say what you would like about Rowling personally. Like Harry Potter is a good series, book 1 and 2. Book 3 is freaking phenomenal.
Right.
Like just incredible the whole way through. And then like it doesn't let up. Like
Right.
like honestly the book I think that's the most bloated is the fifth one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The fifth one's a little bleh. But but again, it's for Rowling. Like you tell, this was also somewhat of a style thing too. She finally got to that point where my kid's going to be a young adult now.
Right.
And my last 3 books are going to be young. 4 is kind of like you're that it's that slow tipsing over. But 5 is like, okay, no. This is young
Right.
adult, emotional,
Yeah.
like adult game. 6 was shorter and actually really good. And 7 is beautiful. I think 7
Oh,
is an amazing story.
I remember reading 6 when it came out and getting to the end of that book and being, I got to the end. I was like, the next book's gonna be amazing. The way she left this, I know the next book's gonna be
Mhm.
amazing. And it was funny at dinner tonight. My daughter came downstairs and she was looking a little turned around. I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I forgot that Hedwig died." She's like,
That's
I
a
was
lot.
just crying upstairs. I'm like, "It's okay, honey." We were all there. We were all there. We all felt that.
Well, I mean, you might have to hold her hand and just
Yeah,
seven a
we got
little bit because there's a
quite a
lot
bit coming up.
to guys.
That's right.
7, there's a lot. I'm
Yep.
not going to spoil this one, Ollie, because I think everybody should read Harry Potter,
Yeah,
ironically
absolutely.
enough. So if you haven't, if you should know the ending at this point. The movie's been out forever, and the movie and the book are pretty close, right?
Yep.
So I was actually really happy because in book 4 they hinted that Ron and Hermione were going to eventually end up together. That like eventually, and it was like that. I love that payoff. That payoff was incredible.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good story, like start
It's
to
great.
finish.
Yeah.
And
Really well done.
so I mean, I still like I'm contemplating this, right? They have these new Harry Potter editions. I know everybody's gonna be like, well, you want, I mean, biggest issues, do I really want to support J.K. Rowling? But I want like one of those, like, I'm a snob. I want one of those
Mm-hmm.
like hardcover editions of Harry Potter that's consistently the same art on the cover because I am that kind of asshole and I fully admit it. Right? How dare you want Harry Potter? I do. I really, really, really do. Like I want the same like look and feel for the whole.
Right.
And the new ones look really good. Like the new ones do look really
Are you
good.
talking about the illustrated ones?
Yeah,
Yeah, they are pretty. I mean, the illustrations are really, really nice in them.
yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like I'm not do it. I have this one problem though, and see, it's thing. It's your fault. You write good books.
My fault.
You gotta. It's your fault. It's your fault. I have to revoke my Kickstarter privilege. I have to revoke my Kickstarter privileges every so often because of you guys. Like it's. I reviewed your book. Like you know this, right? I actually reviewed your book. It's still one of my favorite things I've read this year.
Thank you.
It's such a neat, great comic book, and like, so if I get this old thing that's always going to be there somewhere. See, there's this wonderful thing called used bookstores. If I'm enough of a patient
Mm-hmm.
snob, I can get like what I want. I just have to be patient. But then I can't support guys like you, and and it's like used bookstores. I don't mind supporting used bookstores. Used bookstores,
Right.
especially right now, need all the love they can get.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're looking at okay, you got these cool Kickstarter books. You got like this web series stuff. You got like all this really, really, really cool stuff that's just happening. I'm like, well, I want to support that, but I
Yeah.
can't do that if I go buy the new Harry Potter.
Right, exactly. Yep.
I'm gonna have to be this impatient. I'm gonna have to be this patient snob.
So hard.
I know. Why,
Decisions.
Kris? Why do you make such good books? Why?
I don't know. I'll start making worse books so you don't have to feel as
No,
guilty.
yeah. This crappy book Josh doesn't have to buy. Like that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That'd be like the totally perfect like April Fool's story. Like this crappy book that
Right.
like no one has to buy.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants. You know what? That's actually ingenious marketing.
My friends and I in college, we always joked around that we were gonna create a band and we're gonna promote it on campus, and we're gonna promote a show, and then we were gonna all get on stage and have a fight before the show started and break up the band, so the band never actually had a show.
That would be such an incredible show. Actually, yeah, that would be an incredible show, though. It just wouldn't be like what I expected. Like I came to see like a mosh pit, like environment where people are playing and performing, and the crowd's getting amped up. The crowd's still gonna be kind of amped up, but it's just gonna be like this. Wait, they're fighting. Oh shit, they're fighting. No, hold back, guys. They're fighting. Let's everybody like watch this.
Right.
Go guitarists. Like, do you know these guys? I don't know. They're going at it, right? But then it's over. It's like you'd have a show. It would be the greatest or most terrible 5-6 minutes ever. Because
it's performance art, just
make
everybody think.
Like you're going for like a car crash. Like right. I legit I had this idea, and I still do. Like if I wanted to do a modern day prohibition story, and one of the ways I thought it'd be really cool. Hey, An, how you doing?
Is that Henri? Oh, look out! Oh man.
I know. It's here. It's okay. An is awesome.
Yes, she's the dude.
She's actually been quietly one of my secret beta readers. So my next book is going to be coming out in November, and An has been reading it in advance. She actually seems to really enjoy my take on. She actually seems to enjoy my take on Alice in Wonderland. So
that's awesome. Well, I've been checking out An stuff online too. She's been doing a lot more drawing lately, which has been really fun to watch.
So I'm going to butter you up really quick then before we get back to talking about buttering him up, Kris up right here. So like strictly speaking, I just aired the audio version of our drink and draw. It's always it's this again big ego moment for me. It's really cool to have someone that on your show that's as big a fan of you as you are of them, and I always admire like how talented An really is and how gifted. Like she's incredibly gifted, and not even like, and the thought that like what she can do and how she can go about and do things, it's incredible to watch. I think the only thing she really needs is just to like stay consistent with going out there. It's not a question of if she makes it big, but when. Legit. That's what I feel about you, An. You are just an incredible talent, and I just really You're probably more talented than both of us. I think I can admit that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can definitely admit that. But anyways, now she's listening. Now she's probably got all like blushing and red. It's true. You're awesome. And anyway, Kris is awesome too. Like actually, like you cemented a theory of mine that I've known for a very, very long time. I've had this reinforced quite a bit in the last year. I think musicians are like the best comic creators. Right? You have the most transferable skills for comics. Is actually how I would actually say it. It's like I have transferable skills in the corporate world because I have an incredibly big mouth and people like hearing me talk for some strange reason. But you like in comics in terms of working with people, working with a band, figuring out how certain arts play together. I've had a chance to read a lot of comics in the last year, and every one of you guys with the musical backgrounds. Like I just read Specs Thompson's comic, right? Right, and it reminded me of Bob Hull's Shadow Man. Right? It's like my gosh, it's got kind of this jazz sound guy or like rap to it, and like you got like this I wouldn't say pop, like you almost have like a pop or a there's definitely like a 70s vibe with with Peerless. I'm like, there's a very cool music here I can almost kind of hear in the background. And I noticed that with a lot of the musical people. And maybe it's just all in my head. It's entirely possible, but it's just like, no, I think you guys do this comic thing very, very well.
Oh, I think you're gonna if that's the case, I think you're gonna like the new book because it is even more direct. I mean, it's about a blues musician, so it's like I'm not even trying to hide it anymore. It's let's just go
Nice.
for it. Let's just go for it. So I'm really excited about it. It's a great book, and the artwork is amazing, and I just can't wait for people to see it.
So who did you draw it, or did you get someone wonderfully and talented to draw it? Where did this bad boy come from?
Well, if you don't mind, let's get into it. I'll tell you a little bit about the book and tell you
Sure.
who I worked with. It was awesome. So the book's called Shady Lane Blues, and it's about a washed up blues musician back in the 1920s. Screaming Washington Monroe was a huge deal. He had a hit song called Hurricane Blues, and he was just kind of famous all over the country. And fast forward to 1962, which is when our book takes place, and he's washed up and kind of on hard times. Nobody's listening to him anymore. And the story opens with him playing a club, and this young guy comes up to him and says, "I'm opening a new club, and I'd like you to open it for me, and then also I'd like to pay you to write some new material." And so that sets Monroe on a path to try to reconnect, to work that creative muscle again. And there's, of course, unexpected consequences to agreeing to do that. And I did the book as a way to talk about my experiences, not only as a professional musician, but also my experiences as a teacher. I've had a couple instances over the years where a student had come up to me, either like when they were graduating or after they graduated, and they said, you had this effect on my life, and I'm very grateful. And it really meant a lot to me that I would have done something that was positive for another person. And the funny thing is that sometimes you don't even know it. Sometimes a student comes in and they seem upset, and I'll say, "Hey, you don't seem yourself today. Why don't you go hang out in my office? And if you feel better, you can come back out. If not, that's fine. I just have some time for yourself." And for some students, that was a big deal, and that's exactly what they needed, and they appreciated the understanding. And so this book is about how we get caught up in what we create, and sometimes we don't realize the influence we have on people. And there's a bit of a surprise turn at the end of the book, which really delivers that message. And I don't want to talk about it because I want readers to experience it. But
Sure.
it was a lot of fun to write this. It's just a one-shot book, and it's just kind of with all the changes in my life going on right now, with leaving my job and starting this, it felt like the right story for this time of my life. And so I had a lot of fun working on it, and then working on it with the artist, which
Yo,
is
you know, I totally get it. By the way, I just very quietly just shared this, not just on my chat here, but on my Facebook feed there.
thank you.
Um, because I was just looking at the art while you were talking about it, and it's interesting the people that come into your life when they come into your life, and it's amazing the direction you can go, if you just the right person with the right push at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You can make or break people, and it's interesting that and you have to and you can take things from everybody, good, bad, and indifferent, right? And it sounds like to me like what you're doing is this is when you taught, was it music that you were teaching?
Yeah. As a music teacher, so I
Yeah,
taught everything
yeah,
from high
because
school to elementary.
I definitely can pick up that vibe. Like, it's weird because when you look at art, which was how we're taught about art, it's like, well, what am I doing? Like, who's going to pay attention to me? But the truth of the matter is, and this is the honest truth, lots of people do.
Yeah.
And you sometimes never truly and fully know what that looks like. Um, and until one day suddenly you just know that people are invested in your work, and you're not sure how or why or the ups or the downs of it. You just somewhat somewhere somehow some way, um, you just hit people the right way, and they're like, "Hey, you're good at this, and you did this for me," and you're like, "I did what, the thingy? But how did I do what that thingy?"
Yeah,
Right?
it
And
felt
I,
like I needed to do it, and now you're standing in front of me and you're telling me this. It's
yeah,
yeah, it's amazing.
yeah, it's honestly it's the biggest high we can go for it. It's, to be truthfully honest, like any artist will tell you this. They're very honest. Like you want this, we all will dream of like these big crowds of people that admire our stuff. The honest truth, we want that crowd, not like if the big crowd, because we want the money that in theory comes with that. What we actually want, if we really want us, is we don't really care how big that crowd is. What we care about is anyone that comes up to us and say, "Hey, listen, man, I read, I heard, I see, I did your stuff, and you've inspired me to do my stuff."
Right.
That there's nothing like that. There's just nothing.
You're totally right. I mean, I've had that experience as a performer where someone would come up and say that they liked a song that I wrote. This past weekend, I was doing a free comic book day event, and a gentleman came up to me and had 2 copies of Peerless, and he's like, my friend and I were debating your book, and we were talking about all the stuff that was going on in the story, and we're just can't wait for what comes next. And I was just like, wait, on your free time you were talking about my book and
Yeah,
debating what was going on with the characters? Like, that's
yeah,
awesome, thank you. That, but it's that unexpected, like, I'm glad that that's providing that for them, and that's really exciting to know that it's landing with an audience. But I totally agree with you. Like, it would be nice to have a lot of people like it, but honestly, if I reach a few people and the message, there's a message in everything I do. So Peerless is, it's only one issue of 8, and I think what people will see is that as they read through the series, as we release the series, that like there is a lot going on with interpersonal relationships and dealing with your past, and I'm excited for people to get that, because it's not, the book isn't just a kung fu book. It's not just a love letter to, all that stuff that I love about the films from my childhood. It's, we wanted to develop characters that had some substance to them. We wanted to develop a story that had a moral and was something that when people read it, they can connect with. It's not that they, I mean, how many people wield the peerless fist and can like knock people out with sonic blast? Nobody. But can we connect with the fact that Kiara has to face her past, and her past wasn't all that great, and maybe something she'd rather forget? I think we've all felt some
oh
amount of that
yeah,
in our lives. With Shady Lane Blues, it's a similar kind of situation where, like, he's made art, he's produced something for years, and he felt like his career was over because nobody was coming to his shows anymore. And then this young guy comes in and is like, no, you changed my life. And that's that's a magical thing, and it's a total blessing as a creator to have somebody respond to your creations that way.
oh absolutely. No, it gives you a high. Very few things do. Like I said, the audience can be an audience of one, but that impact on that one audience is that's incredible,
Yeah.
right? And you
Mhm.
can honestly, again, you can change the world just doing your thing. And it sounds absurd because half the time we don't see it. Like I'm just doing my thing. Like I said, something where
Mhm.
we just like
Yeah.
this talk seems to be a bit more about inspirational, the power of inspiration. Just doing things in the face of, like I said, when the pandemic started, the very first person I thought about was C.S. Lewis.
Mm.
World War II, in the midst of one of the most suffering moments of his country's history. I mean, recent history anyway. He read a book on a radio, and it gave people hope in a time when they weren't sure what tomorrow was going to look
Mhm.
like. But that little thing said life could go on, and that you can go on even in this very moment where you feel like it's unbearable, and it's powerful. Like
Yeah.
the most powerful thing you can do is like, I am still alive.
Mm-hmm.
All this darkness around me, all this uncertainty, I'm still doing my thing.
All right.
I don't. It might be like very quietly. That might be the most defiant thing you can do, because not everything you're going to do is going to work out, right? Not everything you're going to do is going to magically work out and go, hey, this is the greatest thing ever. It's not about that. Like sometimes it's like baseball. Sometimes you're going to just strike out. Sometimes you're going to foul out. Sometimes that first baseman was just a little too sneaky for you. Damn those first basemen.
Yeah, right.
Damn them. Sometimes you hit a single. Sometimes you hit a double. Sometimes you hit a triple. Sometimes you hit a home run. You can learn from your mistakes. You can learn from your failures, right? And you can retool and make it better. Like my next novel release is going to be different than my first novel release, because I wrote it well, but what I'm writing now is better, right? And I think that the next time I do a novel release, it's going to be to much bigger critical acclaim. My next Alice book is going to kick ass. That I'm not even like there's a confidence there. It's like, yeah, no, this is definitely the right track. But that's the thing, right? You do these things and you learn and you grow. I think the hardest thing for most artists is there's those big giant moments of silence. And you wonder and you go, am I doing the right thing? It may not work exactly where you want it to go. Like that's the thing, life has its own plans, and you just gotta you have to accept that. But if you can accept that, you'll find yourself going places you never imagined, and sometimes, especially because of your failures, I find.
Okay, you just like handed a very large present that needs to be unwrapped with multiple layers of things to talk about. But I think that the first thing that kind of came to mind as I was listening to you talk was about kind of the current situation we find ourselves in, which, you talked about C.S. Lewis and World War II and all the terrible stuff that was happening in the world at that time. And, we're in a very conflict-ridden period of human history again. And I think that one of the things that has been very difficult for the last few years is seeing how easy it is to tear people down and on a very large scale because of technology and the way that people can, make a post and they don't know what the consequences of that are because they don't have to see the person face to face that they're writing a post about or that they're, targeting with their post. And so we're not getting the full consequences of our actions. Conversely, I think that we also have many opportunities to inspire people. We have many opportunities to lift people up and to give them something to hope for. And that always motivates me. That said, with the prevalence of negativity, I almost feel like it's harder nowadays to lift people up and to inspire people because I think we've become a little bit jaded. We've become a little bit skeptical of that positive message, that uplifting message.
So do you want to hear a fun story? Like
Go for it.
Two fun stories. I got blocked on Twitter because I DM'd a nice message to somebody. Right? No, because I think it was just the no DM rule. Apparently, I don't know, but it was just I just quietly I did. There's nothing malicious. I wasn't hitting on none of that stuff. Just like, I think you're an amazing person. I got blocked. It was funny. And it was just me doing a rant. Like I don't know if you. I think I've given you one of these random notes of kindness somewhere.
You did. Yeah. It was awesome. I loved it so much too.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
Yeah. So this is where so there's two parts. So I sent an audio version. I've been doing audio versions every so often. I haven't done it in a bit, but I might do them again. Especially in light of kind of what I see coming down the pike. I think we're going to need it more than ever. There is a we're about to, I watching what I'm seeing, we as a species are going to be asking some really tough questions about what matters in the next year or two. Because if you see what's going on in France right now, you can legitimately see that there's a lot, their biggest fears are coming to pass because, um, again, the consequences of what their leaders have done.
Mm.
And the fears that are very real as a result. Like you look at a country like France, look at a country like Germany is also doing protests right now. You're looking at like what's going on in Israel in terms of what's happening there right now, and all right. And you're looking at this and you're saying like we, I think, have gone the wrong way.
Mm.
That's like, whether you agree or disagree. That's cool. We could. That's not really the point. The point is we are going to be discussing as a species this for the next year, one way or the other. Hopefully, it doesn't break down into something violent, but it could. And you can literally and you can literally see why too. It's not like I don't feel it's like a black and white answer there. What I do think though is people are looking for hope. So the other story I have, I had this gentleman. I sent this audio recording. He goes to me, "What is this?" It's like, "I just sent you a message." "Oh, I thought you were doing something to hack." And I looked at him. It's like, "I am so glad I don't think like you. I am just
Right.
so glad I don't think like you." He goes, "I have to think." It's like, do you? Do you really? I'm not so sure. Listen to the message. This very very cautious person. I got a response in about an hour after he listened to it. He goes, "This is one of the nicest things I've heard in a long time." I think we live in a world right now that you cannot. I think we all agree on this point. Our leaders have no credibility, and our leaders have no transparency whatsoever. And what that creates, however, what that does is it creates a big giant world of uncertainty. How can you trust your neighbor when you can't even trust the people you hope you think have your best
Well,
interests?
yeah. See, now that's where
Yeah,
I'd like to step in, because I've been
sure,
thinking
step
about
right in.
this. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think
Hmm.
that we depend on our leaders a little bit too much. And I think that
Hmm.
there's a lot that we can do on a very local level. I want to give you a great example. So we live on this amazing street. We have incredible neighbors. And, before COVID, we decided to do Christmas caroling on our street. And so we got a bunch of neighbors together, and
Hey, it was very close.
we went out, and we had sheet music and instruments and stuff. We were going door to door and singing, and it was very interesting to see the reactions of people. Some people thought we were trying to sell something,
Yes.
so they're like, "Well, what are you selling?" Nothing. We're just Merry Christmas, enjoy. And then other people would like literally like turn their light off. We're
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
hey, if that's the way you want to do it, then that's the way you do it. Um, this past summer, I organized a concert series on my street with my neighbors, and it's been great. I mean, every Wednesday we have musicians come out and play on somebody's front porch, and everybody just gets together and hangs out,
Yeah.
and we listen to music and watch the kids run around. And the thing is that what I realized is that regardless of everybody's background, or regardless of everybody's day job or who they voted for, here we are, we're sitting together, we're enjoying some music. It's it's outside, it's summertime, it's wonderful. And the sense of community has been incredible. And then we invite people over from who don't live on the street, and they go, "Oh my, like, you're
Mhm.
this is so cool, and this is so interesting, and the vibe here is so cool." And that's the thing. I think we often, there's so much time spent talking about politicians, and so much time spent talking about our political leaders and how much we disagree with it, or we think that it's failing us, whatever. But the fact of the matter is like, how often are we going to our next door neighbor and saying, "Are you okay? Do you need something? The
Mhm.
power's out. Do you have heat?" I have a neighbor next door who, God bless her, she's not able to take care of herself. I mow her lawn, and I don't expect
Oh
pay.
yeah. No.
I'm just taking care of her. She's a wonderful lady. We could do that stuff so much more, and really, that is where we as a society reconnect, and we as a society like start realizing that we don't have to depend on other people to make decisions for us or wait for that change. We could do it ourselves with our neighbors,
Absolutely.
with the people we know, with the people we teach, with the people we talk with
Oh,
online, all of that stuff, you know?
absolutely. And Jag, he plays like everything. He rocks. Just saying.
Trombone's my main instrument, but you're right. I play a little bit of everything. You can see my keyboard in the back here.
He actually, Jag, he's to date this year. He's written my favorite comic that I have read in the last year. To date, this guy right here. He's the guy that I've written. Now I read some good ones too. I got Bill Miles and Ira X. I got Dave Rich Perota's like the Incontesti Volume 1, right? I once was
Nice.
yeah.
My daughter's a clarinet player.
I once upon a time was a clarinet player. At once
Nice.
upon a time. So yes, but yes. Oh, this guy. I put the first issue he had on par with anything you'd find in a comic shop today. Anything like the first issue of Heroes. I can't talk about his current work. You should check out his current work, and maybe you might like that too. But like, I agree with you, and I think so. I think this is the thing for the last. I'm going to attack expert culture for a minute here. I'm just going to attack it because I think it needs to be attacked. For the last 60 years, we have allowed experts to tell us, "Hey, we'll solve your problems for you."
Right.
At this point in the ball game, that is, I don't think, a entirely viable option anymore. For the reason I just mentioned, there's no credibility anywhere. So when you don't have that credibility, what you do still have is your community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't care where you live, who you are. If you look around you, we might not even agree on what is the best ice cream flavor in the world, right? We may not even agree on that. And that's okay. We don't have to agree. It's vanilla.
We don't. That's why there are many different flavors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. But if you really sit there and think about it, what you and I really want, when at the end of the day, isn't that different. You want a place where your kids can grow up, where you can do your thing, your wife can do her thing. And by and large, you get along with everybody as much as you can, but you're left alone to do it. And that's everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. That's really all we all want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. Like it's a very human thing. And if you can remember that, it doesn't matter if next door you like they are somebody that worships, say, maybe another god that you may or may question. It doesn't matter if the person next door is a hardcore evolution's the way of life. It doesn't matter if the person behind that has an infatuation with Jello, the likes of which you've never thought was possible before. We are an insane species, all of us, and that's the truth. Like, we are completely batshit insane. It is our salvation, I think, more than I actually are. We are batshit in the best possible way. Embracing that and accepting the fact that when you look, whoever you look at, whomever you meet, whatever you see, is you. You're damn right. Jello is great. Who hates Jello? Like Dag, who hates Jello? Like Kris is like, I don't hate Jello.
I don't.
Yeah,
I love Jello. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it doesn't matter. Like, most of the stuff we use to divide ourselves is petty shit. I honestly, secretly, because we all can communicate with each other now, I think the smartest thing we could do as a species is shut the headline news media off for good. It'd be the smartest thing ever, right?
I think I would say that there's a place for the news, but I think that the most important thing.
24-hour news cycle, though, like that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Too much. I think the most important thing we can do is continually be curious. And what I found is that every time I stay curious about things, I realize I really don't know as much as I think I know, and that there's so much more to learn. And I should probably just not be so opinionated and really just keep asking questions and keep looking to learn and keep looking to explore.
I know little, and as I get older, I know less.
Yeah.
I am and that sounds really like the world is a much bigger place. And the older I get, the more I see how much bigger the world is.
Right.
It's a bigger world than me. I'm not always right. My ego was shattered when I came to this revelation. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's so freeing too,
Right.
because I can learn, I can question, and the only people that I worry about are the people who don't ask questions, who just listen to whatever they listen to and never question it. Because honestly, that's the scary part. But if you're always curious, you're always willing to learn, you're open minded, you're willing to listen, and have people around you that will listen to you.
And
You're
it's
in a
just
good
living
you're
life
in a
is
good
so much more
community.
interesting that way. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
there's so okay. So I obviously being the musician, I love all different kinds of music. What I've found throughout my life is that by being curious about other styles of music, I'm exposed to different cultures, and which exposes me to different frames of mind and personal experiences. And you're talking about things going on in the world. Well, yeah, absolutely. Like you listen to. I mean, I can remember the first time I listened to Fela Kuti, and I was like, I didn't know about things in Nigeria, but through his music, I learned more, and I
Mhm.
became more curious about that. And so, there's just food, for example. I love food.
It was great.
Uh, I like. I'm an adventurous eater, and it's because the first time I tried a curry, I was like, "What is this? And why did it take so long for me to try this? Because it's amazing." And I just those kinds of discoveries have left me, and then traveling too, but those kinds of discoveries have left me curious about more,
Mhm.
and wanting to experience more, and wanting to investigate other things, and in turn those questions keep me curious. They keep me questioning. They keep me saying, "Well, I thought I knew, what was going on in Nigeria, but clearly I didn't." And so maybe I just need to not talk about Nigeria and just listen.
Mhm.
Maybe I need to, even coming to comics. What's been interesting going from a reader to writer is going, meeting other creators and listen to them talk about how they create, and listen to, people talk about their process, and going, wow, that's really fascinating. That's something completely new. I mean, even with Shady Lane Blues, I've got a blues musician. I wrote 3 songs that appear in the book. And so I'm working with a blues musician, Austin Walking Kane, who's a great guy. Like everybody you talk to in Cleveland's like, oh, Augie's the best guy ever. He's super nice, but he's also an extremely talented musician. And he and I are working on the songs together, and it's awesome. I mean, like he's dedicated his life to playing blues music, and so I wrote these lyrics, and I was like, I don't, you can change them if you want to. I don't know if like they're gonna work. He's like, no, these lyrics are great. I'm gonna make them work, and they're gonna be awesome. Um, but it's that, working outside of your comfort zone and going, well, yeah, I've never tried it this way, but it works for Joshua, so maybe I should try it out and see if that works for me too. Maybe it doesn't, but at least I found that out. At least I've investigated that.
And also on the same token, right? On the absolute same token, it will work out differently for you too sometimes.
Right.
Like again, ego. I had to beat up my ego pretty hard, Chris. I said, you know what? What works for you doesn't necessarily work for everybody else.
Hmm.
But here's the other thing too. In going and seeing things my way, you might find an even better way for yourself, because you'll be
Right.
like, I don't necessarily agree with what Josh does here,
Right.
but he does this part right. And I like what he does here. So what if I took that piece
Yeah.
and I added it to what I already do, and holy shit, I suddenly gets, and then it's like, hey Josh, and I'll be like, hey Chris, this is what I did.
Yeah. Right.
And I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Why didn't I think of that part? I
Right.
don't know, right? And then I try it. Again, it still might not even work out for me. But here's the thing: I'll learn from it.
Hmm.
And once you learn, and this sounds like really like magically simple, the simple stuff. But once you realize is you don't have to know everything.
No.
You don't, and honestly, you don't. very little actually matters. It sounds like a really dumb thing, but I just realized as I get older, there's really not a lot. Like, it's cool that people are passionate about whatever they're passionate about. Again, that's one of that batshit cool batshit thing about people that I really love. But I also just like, someone's gonna know things about rocks and crystals. I don't care. That doesn't mean, however, that what they're doing is invaluable. That doesn't mean what they're doing. They just
Doesn't
see the
mean you
world.
can't appreciate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only can I not appreciate, I can still learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
We come to this world, all of us. We have our own way of doing things. We have our own pursuit of what's interesting to us. And all we really have to do, the only thing, hey, there's nothing wrong being a rocks and
Not
crystal
at
kind of
all.
person, Jag, at all. Me personally, and I just say this straight up, it's not for me. That doesn't mean I know. Again, I am a big enough man to acknowledge I know jack and shit, and that's just me. I don't need to. I can be a sponge or an open book. There's a lot of blank pages in there, right? There's a lot of blank pages in there. Let's put some cool writing in there, or some cool lyrics, or some cool comic book, preferably comic book pictures. Maybe Team Rocket from Pokemon. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. The point is, right? Everybody sees the world differently, and it's not all for you. But if you leave yourself open to it, even in this crazy, weird ass, like crazy time, there's a lot of good things going on. And all you gotta do is open yourself up and just listen.
Right.
That's the biggest thing I've learned about this podcast. I have a big mouth, but if I listen too, I learn stuff.
Oh my god! And you've had such like the full gamut of creatives on your show. I mean, novelists, voiceover actors, comic book creators, musicians. I mean, it's got to be so exciting for you to have all these conversations, to see all these different perspectives from all these different walks of life. I mean, that's just exciting.
Do you know actually what really fascinates me? The honest truth, as much as the differences are interesting for me, the similarities are even more fascinating. Because the older I get, the more I see. It doesn't matter. Again, my guess could be a Jello cultist, and yes, Jag, just because it's for you, it's a Jello cultist, and it doesn't freaking matter, right? It just doesn't. And I will find that a lot of the things that they work, right? A lot of things that they do that make things work in life are very similar to what I do, what I try to do, or what you try to do, or what Mod Park tries to do, or what Jagtress tries to do, right? Yeah. Hey, I gotta admit it, ladies and gentlemen. Jello is awesome.
Jello in crystal bowls.
Yes.
Is that the preferred method of containment for your Jello there, Jack? I'm curious to know. You know, I wanna address exactly what you were just talking about. Over my shoulder here, in the tall case in the background, is my guzheng, which is a Chinese string instrument, and I'll never forget. I 20 years of playing the trombone, and I got this instrument, and I was looking for lessons. So I found a woman on the east side of Cleveland where I live who taught lessons. And so I called her up and I said, yeah, I'm a music teacher and I'm in my 30s and I got this instrument. I'm really curious to learn it. And she's like, I'm used to teaching 10-year-old kids, so this will be different, but I'm excited to have you. So took lessons for a while. And one of the things I really enjoyed was, I mean, as a musician and music teacher, obviously I'm very familiar with terminology and how to teach concepts from a Western perspective. But to work with her, she would talk about things like, with the guzheng, you pluck a string and then you can bend the string by kind of pushing on it. And she was like, well, when you push on the string, you're creating vibrations like ripples of water. Well, I would say, if I were talking to my students, all right, well, in order to soften the note, we want to use vibrato to create kind of a lighter, less stark feel or sound for the note. And she's like, no, ripples on water, which I was just thought, we're talking about the same thing, but the description is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it reframed the way I thought about that musical concept. And so now when I write music and I'm trying to tell stories through my music, I'm not necessarily thinking about, well, I'm going to put some vibrato here, soften up. It's like, well, what am I trying to say, and what tools do I have at my disposal to create that imagery for a listener? Or, if I'm writing a comic book and I've read all these different authors, what did they do to effectively create that mood, or to tell that that perspective, or to create that character and make that character come to life? And so I think it's right along the lines of what you were talking about there, where it's just music. It's just a different way of talking about music and a different way of looking at music, and in the end, there's a lot more in common there than what's different. and
Yeah.
and
And
that's
once you realize that, you come to this conclusion too. What the fuck are we fighting for?
right. Yeah.
Right? And that's it. Because like I don't want to fight, and if I don't really want to fight, chances are you don't want to fight either.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, we can, and that's when you can that's when listening and compromise can come in, and you can again. Doesn't matter what goes on in the world, I'll hear you out. I might not agree with everything, but I'll at least hear you out because honestly, I want to know where you're coming from because it's the only way things are going to change,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no again. I'm not a mustache twirling supervillain, right? I have I just don't have that mustache twirling supervillain quality in me. That all said, I'm not always right either. Sometimes I'm not. I don't have a wear a cape. I have my good days. I have my bad days like everybody else. But you know, never be. I've learned. I think the biggest thing I learned down here is like never be um silly enough to think that you're the first one to see this. Never. You just realized it, which is cool. But if you realized it, somebody else did too, right? Right. You haven't gone down any new roads. But number two, um, you know, you just realize like really all we really got to do solving most of the world's problems is just basically listen to people get whatever really, 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 really is important to them out. And if we create that environment, it really doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. What really matters is, did you get it out? Yes. Did we talk about it? Yes. And it's all right. And at the end of the day, it's like he's human, just like me, because I have shit about I care about too. And that's how you. And I think that's it. Like I don't know.
That's the monumental
maybe
first step for humanity right there that you outlined. Can
yeah.
we all just listen to each other and recognize that maybe we have differing opinions about things?
Well, we have different opinions, but we're not that different.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The nature of intelligence, I've said this on many shows, the nature of intelligence is to discern difference. The nature of wisdom is to move past it. So you just like acknowledge your differences, cool, but acknowledge your similarities too. We all want the same thing at the end of the day. We want a place where we can be ourselves comfortably and go out into the world and just do whatever it is we're supposed to do. The rest, by and large, is bullshit.
Ugh, paying bills. Power. Electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, hot water and toilet paper are essential, but
they're really nice to have.
They are. They are. But
anybody who's gone tent camping knows how nice it is to have hot water and toilet paper. Let me tell you.
I was one of those people like really poor in the United States. There were points where I didn't have hot water. Oh man, you missed that fast. Like,
oh yeah,
like you missed that so fast. You're like, that is my one indulgence in Canada. It's like I take those long hot showers because it's like I can do that.
Right.
Little things, man. Not much in this life really matters, but little things, man. They do matter, right? Like Jello and ice cream.
Yeah, Jello, right? Ice cream crystals.
Yeah.
Chinese musical instruments,
and
you know, all that
trombones,
stuff. Yeah.
trombones.
Yep.
You know, like, dude, I should be like the guy in charge. I'd say, hey, let's just all get along. I'm not really interested in making money anymore. Just like, let's just all get along. Fuck this shit.
Well, I
Resolution
gotta tell
only.
you, I'm pretty sure we just solved all the world's problems. So,
Yeah, I know.
you know,
It's
it's
like,
on everybody else. We put out the information. They can choose to take it or not. You know. So
yeah. So the
I'm
world
glad
goes
we're
back.
entertaining Jagtress. By the way, Jagtress is like totally on board with all of our rantings.
No, it totally is. Actually, me and her have had some great conversations sometimes, and it's like, sometimes it's interesting because it's like there's like, for both of us there have been eureka moments. Like, it's that simple. It's like, yes, it actually is that simple. Why are we thinking this harder? I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't understand. I really don't. But if you can keep that, especially I don't know, like, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens in the next year or so. But if you can keep that, right, if you can keep that headspace, and you can keep, and you're with the people you're with that are really good people, no matter what's around you guys will be fine.
I agree. And I think finding
Yeah.
your community, finding those people who are supportive of you, those people who, you know, have your back or want to see you succeed, that are your cheerleaders. I think that's really important because we're all going to face diversity. We're all going to face tough times. We're going to have times where things go great and things, unexpected things come up. And what I've found is there have been a number of people throughout my life, but I'm going to talk specifically about writing comics now. A few people like yourself who've been like, "Hey, you're a complete newbie to this industry, and but you wrote this book, and we're gonna talk to you about it." Or Henri Kampmann is this amazing comic book creator, and he convinced me to do my first comic book convention back in June, and I thought that I was completely underprepared for that, and yet he's like, "No, you're gonna come out, and I got a table set up for you," and he totally made it happen. And I'm so glad that I did. Not only did I learn tons that weekend about, you know, how a convention works and talking to people, but I met a handful of comic book creators. First of all, that were in that area who were all very supportive. Like, I put my stuff down, and another creator is like, "Hey, you might want to rearrange these things here." And then I looked down at my table, I was like, "Oh, that looks a lot better. Thank you very much for clearing that up." And then I wandered around, and I went out and met other creators, and everybody's excited because everybody's been there. Everybody's been, you know, first time at a convention, first time figuring it out, trying to promote your book, and it's a wonderful community. And I've experienced that as a musician. I mean, there are tons of musicians I've worked with over the years, and what's so exciting about that is everybody brings their own experience, everybody brings their own ideas, and when you have an environment where all of those things are respected, and conversation and respect is mutual, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Absolutely.
So to experience that with comic books has been great because I've spent all of my adult life living that in music. And you know, initially Peerless came as like, wow, I think this is a good idea and I want to see it through. And so I did. But as a result of that, I've met tons of people. I mean, I've met you, I've met Mog, I've met Henri. I mean, I just have met all these people from all parts of the world, and it's been awesome. It's been
Absolutely.
such an incredible ride so far, and
And
I don't know. I've loved it so far.
and sometimes when you screw it, it doesn't matter what you do; it works out in your favor anyway. Like, I'll give you a great con experience. So Winnipeg used to have this really great book, like, Comic Con. Now, I thought I wasn't going to go because I found out about it too late. It's like, I'm just going to put myself on the reserve list. Cool, got on the reserve list. I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to get there. They'll surely let me know in advance if I get a table, right? So the week of the con, I started getting these emails from they haven't confirmed anything yet, like,
Mhm.
nothing. I'm trying to get this like table information and things about going on in the event during the week. And the first one's like, maybe they just gave it to me by accident because there's no confirmation anywhere that I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, they send me another one. And I'm like, okay, I better ask. Am I going? I actually just did that, right? Because I don't know. I think there's no table confirmation, nothing. I'm just getting all this information. Like, am I going? And then Wednesday, I get a response. Oh, no. Thursday, I get a response. They gave me my table number. The show's Friday.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Right? I don't have any prep. I got like my books in a box. I get myself a flight. I fly down there. Right? It gets better. It gets better. Like I have nothing. No banners, no posters, nothing. Right? I don't even have a cloth for my books. Right? I have like this caveman table. Basically, it's just like I just got my stuff sprawled out. Oh, and here's and getting into to actually register. Oh yeah, no. Like here's how you can tell a con is a good con. You don't see the organizers very much. That's when you know it's a good con, because if you don't see them, that means there's always little problems in every show, but you're not seeing any panic. It's like it's very like
things are running smooth.
Yeah, it's very smooth. You see them running around like chickens with their heads cut off, worried, because that means they don't know what they're doing, right? And it's like, oh, what the hell is going on here? That was this con. It was in Winnipeg. It was the one, right? And I get there to check in, and I have to go. Like they have this hotel. It's got this cursed little elevator of doom. So I couldn't get off on the floor I'm supposed to get off on because of just people and traffic. It's just fun. Fuck this. I get off. I just go up the stairs, right? I go back. Like, I don't care about looking at anything. Just I want to get to my table. So I finally get there. Throw my stuff down and just start selling. It didn't matter. I was the only person with like this caveman look, so I stood out. Like it actually worked in my favor because I'm like, no, there's nobody else. There's all these beautiful things, and then there's this like caveman in the middle of nothing, like nothing. Right?
You my book?
My book,
good?
My book. And I made my table by the end of the second day.
That's great, man.
Fun, right?
That's awesome.
And it was like it just works out. Now I've had cons where I've been super prepared, nothing. Every crowd's different, but it just so happened it just magically worked out for me. All right. It's not really about how prepped you are. It's an experience every time. And when you get to go out there, like I said, hopefully you never go that you don't ever have to experience an elevator.
I'm sure I will. And I'll be ready for it. And I'll be ready to tell you about it when it happens.
Dude, I had my elevator dream moment. Oh my God. It's like, it's so frustrating, isn't it? It's like, yes, it is. So part of the experience, but yes, it is. Like, but that's it. Like it's about getting yourself out there. It's about like, hi, I'm Kris. I do this great book. And what you will find, like the next time you do a show and you have more books, you will do better.
Well, I'm excited about that, actually. I mean, I went with one book, just Peerless. Now I've got Shady Lane coming out. So there's book 2. Obviously, I've got more issues of Peerless down the line. And then Jake Kelly, who did the art for Shady Lane Blues, we haven't even had an opportunity to talk about him yet. He's amazing. He's a Cleveland-based artist, and he does amazing murals, and he's got his own comic book series called Death, Destruction, Vice, and Sleaze. What he's doing is like this meticulous research on crimes in Cleveland in the 70s, and then he's writing these comic books with that information, and it's really interesting. So Jake and I have been working on this, and we really enjoyed working on the book together. And so we're already talking about, what's the follow-up? What's the next book that we're going to do? And so obviously we're bouncing ideas off of one another. But it's interesting how, I don't know, one thing leads to the next thing that leads to the next thing. And, my goal is to I'm going to hit the circuit hard in 2022. So I want multiple books on the table, and, Some will be Peerless. Some will be Shady Lane Blues. Hopefully, there's a monster book in there somewhere, and the fun thing will be to talk to different people about all those books. I'm pretty sure I need to do something for kids too. Every time
Monster books are good for kids. Kids like
well,
monsters.
I want to write a monster book that terrifies the crap out of people. So, I think that what I need though is when a young child comes up and goes, "Oh, mom, dad, this book looks good," and I have to look at the parents and while the child's not looking and go, "Not for your child, not for your child." I need to write something that kids can get excited
Sometimes
for.
I'm just gonna warn you. Sometimes that will surprise you. I'll be like, no, I had this one one book. I remember it was like this. I don't think this is for your kid. Oh, don't worry. They read above their level. Okay,
All
sure.
right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
you can't you might be surprised, but no. So like the truly most terrifying monster book of all time is if they were all worked for the IRS. That would be the truly most terrifying book of all time. It's like, hey, you want to scare every adult known to man? The little tax man that just goes door to door and reads like this collection of monsters, but you will pay the money.
Yes.
Buy something terrible.
That would be terrifying. That would be
Yeah,
terrifying.
no, it would be like in soft voice, never like loud. He's never loud, right? And occasionally calls one of his friends from the underworld. Dear God, it's actually a good story. I should write it.
You should write it.
Yeah.
You need to run with this idea.
Yeah, it's actually a terrifying.
Oh, you won't pay your taxes? Allow me to conjure my friend here, Morpheus. He will take your money and your soul.
Right.
Yes.
Like, and then comes back. I'll be back in an hour. It's that gentle voice the whole time, just
right.
Oh God, like no, nice people I find are the most terrifying, not monsters, because they're so genuinely enthused about it. It's like, oh, this is my job. Oh God, they're into this.
They're really
that
into
shit, right?
the
So
IRS.
right, yeah, right. So, but it's kids books are so cool though, because it's like laying out your inner, like, dude, I'm old. I still pop when I literally drew Team Rocket for the first time on my last drink and draw.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, oh my gosh. And in my head it was like, to rid the world of devastation, to unite all people within our nation, and to extend their reach to stars above. Like, all was in my head. It's like, that is terrible that I still remember this. Like, I was brainwashed good as a kid, Kris. Got all my childhood stuff there. That was just so cool and fun.
For me, it was The Dark Crystal, Jim Henson's movie. That movie hit when I was in like kindergarten or first grade, and I remember just seeing on HBO and just being like, what am I watching? This is amazing. Like, my brain can't even comprehend the Skeksis and the mystics and all this stuff. And I would love to write something like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out there for any viewers that might happen to work for, what's the stop motion animation company in Oregon? No, in Oregon.
I don't know. I don't know who specifically.
Well, now I'm just embarrassing myself, but they do the Box Trolls, and they did Paranorman, and come on, someone in the comments help me out. Their company is so cool. They make such original movies, and I just want to work with them so badly because their stories are incredible. They're incredible, and I just want to be a part of a creative team like that. I want to be in Jim Henson's studio. I want to write Trevor. Like, I would just want to write great, creepy music that kids are gonna love or be terrified by. That would just be incredible to me. My daughter, my middle child, is huge into Coraline. She loves that movie so much. And Coraline. I love it too because that movie's so kind of creepy. Leica, it's Leica's the company from Oregon. All their movies are amazing. But anyways, I got an A.
No, dude. We all got big dreams. Like, for me, it's video games. So the company I want to work for is the same company that builds the Persona video games. I love those big themed, great big themed storytelling. right, right, and like the Persona series is I like it for two reasons. Their motto is to make gamers cry, and there are games in Atlas's library that will break you, and
Yeah.
that's on purpose. Like there's Atlas Hard, which is almost like Nintendo Hard, and if anybody is too young to remember, once upon a time, way back in the day, Nintendo didn't mess around. They threw hard games at you. What you play
Contra
today?
anybody?
What?
Contra anybody? Yeah, play
Contra,
that
yeah.
game without the up, down,
Yeah,
left,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do that one without the code if you got the guts,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Right. And there are even harder. Like Ghouls and Ghosts is the most evilest game ever. You actually have to be a little lucky to beat it. You actually have to be a little lucky. So so those games, Atlas has that mountain tally, but also like the music, the
Hmm.
characters, the storytelling when it, like is become like if you do yourself a favor, like if you ever can, like look like one of my favorite openings is the opening from Persona 5. The
Hmm.
first half hour of the game, right before you put your name in, your character's name in. That is one of the most compelling half hours you'll ever read. It's like you watch this unfolding, like, what did I just get into? And this is the start of the game.
That's
And you're
awesome.
in. It's like I'm in. And I literally talked to a friend of mine from Germany today. She's like, "Yeah, oh man, Persona 5 is like a chef's kiss of like a character." It's like, yeah, it is. It's a super fun game. Also, can be a super hard game
Yeah,
too if you
right.
really want to do it. Oh yeah, they have that Nintendo hard level. No money rewards, no experience. How good do you think you
Yeah,
really are?
right.
Like, but 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 yeah, no, like there are studios that just make like this magical stuff. Like I wish that the studio that made the original Disney Afternoon was still around.
Mm.
There's some great like that had been a cool studio to have been a part of. I love like I look at someone like Elsa and like the fact that she was working at Warner Brothers for so long, right? It's like that'd be cool. Like there's lots of cool like dream quote unquote dream jobs out there. Like I said, we were talking about this right when we started this conversation. I just applied to be a podcasted producer at TELUS and a host for sports because I can make an ass of myself in front of me. Yeah, it's a cool job. Why not me, right? And that's
Right.
it. Like, why not you?
Yeah.
I can see you making creepy music that haunts kids for generations to come. I mean, that's a life goal, right?
It'd be awesome. Have you watched my score sessions show yet?
No, I have not.
All
I
right,
have
I
to
need
watch
you to
it.
check that out because I would be so curious to get your feedback on it. I started this about a month ago, and the idea was that I part of what I want to do is scoring for television and movies. And when I grow up, that's what I want to do. So I started doing this challenge where I have people make suggestions, and then I put them in my sombrero, and I pull one out Friday morning, and then I give myself to 5 o'clock that Friday to write, record, mix, and post the music that I wrote that day. And so I think the first episode, it's when that whole radioactive terror pigs thing was happening in Japan. And so I did a song called Radioactive Terror Pigs, which was kind of like in my spin on Godzilla theme music. And then there was, let's see, Dawn of the Dead. Someone wanted me to rescore the first scene of that movie. And then I did an enchanting love song, and then a rescore of When Harry Met Sally, when Harry's running after Sally on New Year's Eve, and then Terminator 2. I rescored a
Ooh.
scene from that one, and then I did a scene from the Stargirl TV show, which is actually part of a contest that Spitfire Audio is doing right now. So they're all on my YouTube channel.
I just found it. We're gonna pimp. I'm gonna pimp it right before the end of the
I'm
show.
having so much fun writing these though, and once I'm doing a music camp right now, so I'm not gonna be able to do one this week. But once I get done with that, it's my plan to do one every Friday. I want to continue to take these
Cool.
suggestions and continue to write this music.
So-
I'm learning so much, but also just having a blast writing, rescoring these scenes. It's super fun.
you know what I'm gonna have to do when this is over, like, or maybe we can even do this on the air. Like, one of my favorite like YouTube things is I'm a video game guy more than I am a television guy at this point. And, like, just because I think video games have this weird advantage of being interactive. You can reward people for going through this journey with you, and I think that's something that television and movies are going to have to respect in the coming days. But there's some amazing scores in those as well. And so and sometimes like the music, I love commentary on music. Like Terminator 2 is one of my favorite scores ever because it's both like this hard rock, oddly romantic, but also sad song because it's got like this hard beginning, like because because it's yeah, like it's got like this super hard, and then then it goes to like almost like a horn, like because it's a march. It's a funeral march. That's actually what the Terminator 2 is. It's a funeral march. It's a walkthrough from you see the machines come, and this is our last stand. Like that's literally what the music is. And it hits you what that is when I'm going to spoil this movie. It's also so old.
It's been out forever.
At this point, it's literally 30 years old. So if you guys have a problem with that, screw you, right? When the Terminator sacrifices itself, like it is when that score is actually really in the main part of like you hear it throughout, but you hear the full song when he dies.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like it goes dun 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 dun. That like starts that way when he's got the chain, and then he does the and then he throws himself there, and then when as he descends, you hear the horn. It's a funeral, right? Right. It's a funeral. I mean, and you hear it at a few different points in the movie, and every time it's with the machine. It's a final. It's almost like there's a choice versus a. It's also like Linda Hamilton's character. Sarah Connor is probably the most badass. Television, it's probably Major Kiera or Susan Ivanova. But if you're going to talk, like, it's either Sigourney Weaver from Aliens or
I was going to say, you can't leave Ripley out. I mean,
Ripley, no, it's either Ripley or Sarah Connor. Like, choose. Because especially Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 was such an amazing take on her. And haunted, strong, tough, like in a very, very words, and the whole world thinks she's crazy, which is just like, and she's not. That's the terrifying part. She's not. And you know, her evolution and how much she mirrors that Terminator she met years ago is like crazy. And that song is that whole story. It does that so well. Like the guy that scored that, like I honestly think that the only score that might be better, there's only two scores I can think of that are better, and that's Jaws and classic and Rocky. That horn sound in Rocky is ridiculously iconic.
Yeah, the Rocky score is I mean, that's a classic one for sure. Brad Fidel did the score to Terminator 2.
Very cool.
It's interesting.
I'm
not as familiar with him.
Like and here's the thing, like score music is actually, in my opinion, might be the most lucrative music in the music industry, actually, because it's not just scores aren't just done for like big movies or big stories, but they're also done for commercials.
Right.
A lot. Right? Very quietly, it's probably the most important part of the commercial, honestly.
Well, here's the interesting thing about scoring, and full disclosure, everybody who's watching right now, I'm about to extremely nerd out because I love talking about film scores and listening to them. And what I really enjoy about them is that, first of all, it's great storytelling because they're talking, you take the elements of music and you manipulate them in order to manipulate the audience. So I did this whole thing with my students where I talked about the Jaws theme. It's only 2 notes. And I talked about, well, what does John Williams do so masterfully with those 2 notes to create movement, to create anticipation, to create grandiosity, like with the shark and how big the shark is, and how does he do that with instrumentation. And I mean, it's really smart. And then on top of that, the composers are bringing their ideas, but they are beholden to the director. It is the director's vision that they are working with. And now, granted, some composers and directors develop relationships like Danny Elfman and Tim Burton, and John Williams and Steven Spielberg, and or George Lucas, and where they trust each other enough that if one of them makes a suggestion, then they can, go to town. I mean, I think about E.T. The last 20 minutes of that is John Williams' score just taking over the whole film. There's like so little talking going on, and it's just John Williams' score, and we all know what it is. Da, 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 bike in front of the moon and all that kind of stuff. It's magical. That's a director who trusts the composer to write something that everybody is going to just be blown away by.
I think the master of using music as movement, though, is Chuck Jones.
Oh, yeah. Great stuff.
Master.
Yeah.
Master. The barbershop.
Carl Stalling, too, with his Warner Brothers cartoon stuff. I mean, you listen to that stuff, and it's cutting edge considering the era that it was written in, and then just how fast they switched from one style to another style. I mean, it's no wonder that John Zorn liked it so much.
Yeah, well, that's why. But again, they understood the language of they understood the language of the medium they were telling their stories in too. That's why it works. Like if you're talking about like television shows, right? Star Wars isn't on my list anymore, by the way. Not because I don't think the score isn't iconic. It is. I just think how it was used in the original prequel trilogy wrecked the tone just a bit.
I agree with you. It was a little bit too busy.
Yeah, just a bit. But
Duel of Fates is still awesome, though.
Oh no! Again, doesn't the Jaws Rocky Rocky montage, like when Rocky's getting ready to fight, because it's like dun 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 dun, and then that's him climbing that whatever mountain he's climbing. Like that's what that montage, that training, right? Yeah, Duel of Fates is really cool, but the show that I think that does it perfectly, ironically, is a Jap animation series called Cowboy Bebop. Every episode's got a different score, and each score is as Guardians of the Galaxy comes close. But if you were to talk about purely as a score, I love Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, the music is always the hidden character, and it's got more to say about that story. So each episode is so different. Oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack is fantastic.
They did,
but I don't know if I can call it a score exactly. Although it is a very important part of the movie.
It's a compilation. I mean, he used the pop songs to help tell the story, and he did so in a really effective way. I think that Mark Mothersbaugh, not Mark Mothersbaugh, I'm sorry. Wes Anderson is very good at taking pop songs and helping to use them to tell his stories. But yeah, I mean, Quentin Tarantino with Pulp Fiction, I will always love that soundtrack. I think he created a mood with the surf rock and the music he picked for that one. That's a really good use of a compilation score. But if you want to talk about, I mean, okay, John Williams has created some of the most iconic themes in movies, and I mean, most people, I know kids who knew those themes before they had even seen the movie. Like, everybody knows Indiana Jones. Dum, ba, dum, bum, bum, ba, bum. And I know kids are like, I've never actually seen the movie, but I know I've heard that theme before. I'm like, yeah, because it's iconic and everybody knows that. But there's been an interesting movement of subtle scores. So where it's not trying to be out front as much. And this has been Get Shorty's fantastic. I
Yes.
love the Get Shorty soundtrack.
Yes.
But I know the Jurassic Park music because Jurassic Park music is one of the most magical scenes when they first see the dinosaurs and the score swells with it, and every time it makes my hair stand up. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And for me, the magical movie of choice is man, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Show, The Greatest Showman.
Greatest
Love
Showman,
that
yeah.
sound. I love that soundtrack. Because it's just like it's perfect for the Broadway. It gives that movie a Broadway feel to it without actually saying it's a Broadway play on as a movie. That's what it is, and the music captures that perfectly. But yeah,
check out the original Alien score.
Yes,
it's Jerry Goldsmith, I believe, and that is almost no theme in that, and not a full like melodic line until the second half of that score, maybe even the end of that score. The rest of it is like it's like all these sound effects, but back in the 70s, and it's so effective and it's so well done. And when the payoff comes at the end, it's perfect. It's so good.
So if we're talking about that, okay, going back to video games, my favorite one that captures the movie. It's not actually my favorite like score all time, but it captures the movie. That final boss battle is the Persona 4 secret final boss battle. Like there's a secret day that you have to that you can unlock depending on Life is Strange is good, but the Persona 4 one's really good because you're literally at the end of this journey. You're fighting a literal god. And the music just it's very, 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 very barely there, right? Barely there until the very end. Like it's an 8-minute song, but it's for the most of it, it's very like one note, then another note, then another note, because you're fighting this overwhelming thing. Then for the last, like the triumph part where you win, like, and it goes to that part. It's a reflection of the theme of the whole video game. Because it's you standing up and facing the truth, which was the whole theme of it. And that truth is this God, and this God has to fall. And it's like, it's beautiful. And it captures that battle perfectly without ever like mentioning it. And again, it's little things. They're not big in your face things. It's just you hear a sound and you feel.
When I grow up, I'm gonna write scores like that.
Yeah.
When I grow up.
I'm gonna write. When I grow up
someday.
It's that, well, dude. Like I'm looking at your playlist right now. Like, so I'm gonna put this up here right now. So so this is.
Are you gonna share something? What are you gonna share?
I shared your YouTube.
Oh, the whole thing.
Playlist. Yeah. Like that is your YouTube playlist, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the thing. So I'm going to be looking at this one. This is I've never tried writing. Songwriting is one of the few things I've not tried yet. I don't know how to read music, so I don't know how to write music. So you gotta be able to do one, I think, to get to the other. And it's been so long, I almost would have to go from scratch. And listen, I will make the greatest version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star ever.
Oh my God!
You might like right. I made Kris laugh. Like that's amazing. It's like it's gonna be the greatest version.
I laughed because I did an improvisation workshop with a school in Minneapolis. This is years ago. It was all these Suzuki kids, and I was talking about improvisation, and Suzuki kids have great ears. I mean, they learn how to play their instruments using their ears. And so I used Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as the vehicle to do that. Everybody play Twinkle Twinkle. Okay, now let's change the rhythm. Now let's change a couple of notes in here. Look, you're improvising. Yay, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So it's a reliable song there. It's a good place to start, I think.
Oh, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the heavy metal version. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
All right. Okay. So you now I need you to go to my SoundCloud page I was listening to like this 80s radio station when I was doing yard work, and I think We're Alone now came on, and I was like, oh, this song, I remember the song from when I was a kid. I think we're alone now. Da, 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 da. And I was like, actually, when you listen to the lyrics, it's actually pretty creepy. And so I felt compelled to make a creepy version of I think we're alone now. And I'm pretty sure it freaked out everybody in my household. So I think I did at least well enough to freak them out, which says something, I suppose.
Well, I love here.
Oh yes, Jagtress.
Oh
Yes.
yes, and there's the
Creepy.
SoundCloud right there.
Nice.
There it is, folks. Let me create. Well, that's the thing. Like again, music's like every other form of art. You look at those, you see it with master style, and you tell your own. I'm doing an Alice in Wonderland retelling with Greek mythology, and I make no bones about that. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm having a blast. I'm like, I just finished them fighting an undead Hydra. Like seriously, how do you beat an undead Hydra, right? That's still growing heads, and not all of them are scheme, right? But you take what you like and you make it something different, like something that you can add to it. I'm a big fan. One of my favorite, like one of my creepiest ones. Like if you want to take a good song and making it creepy, I love A Perfect Circle's Imagine. That is a creepy ass version of John Lennon's, like John Lennon. Like you hear the first one, it's like it's hopeful, it's optimistic. Hey, we can kill all divisions. Then they take the Imagine, make it a 1984 version. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. It's like, oh God.
This is definitely different, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, dude.
I don't know where the wild roses grow, but I'm checking that out as soon as we're done here because I like both Kylie and Nick Cave. So,
and Marilyn Manson's the ultimate cover artist. I mean, The Beautiful People is like he made such a cool cover of that it's all Used by You, Sweet Dreams, Sweet Dreams, right? It's like it's such a go right ahead, Jack, if you want to do that.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, but like Sweet Dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Is he did such a cool version of it. It's so much him. Like you can take what already exists and you can make it something completely different. Right. And music, I think more than anything else does it better. But we all do it. Like it doesn't matter who we write, draw. It doesn't matter what the art form is, right? We all can take something we can admire and make it our own, and that's an incredibly cool thing.
I love taking other people's music and doing arrangements from it because it does. Trying to click on Jagtress's link here. Open link in YouTube. Because it's fascinating to see how you can change a song and make it your own and make your own statement with it. I do love that a lot.
Yeah, no, it's good. I found your list. You got some really cool songs here. Like there's I think We're Alone Now. You got Sin City. I love that you got all your Peerless stuff in there too, which is really, really cool. Right. So yeah, he's got a really good SoundCloud, ladies and gentlemen. You should definitely go check it out. And give him and show him some love and support while you do so as well, because I mean, Kris is really good at what he does. He really, really is.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. On that note, man, I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you. I hope you had a good time on my show this time around. I mean, we did everything from talk about world peace to Jello. I mean,
and crystals. Don't forget the crystals.
Yes, that's right.
No, man, I love being on your show because I never know where the conversation is going to go. And per our earlier conversation, I just like being curious. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I do think we have an interview here. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all of Jagtress's comments.
Yes, and even so Stewart, like AF Stewart with the great comment of all talking about the Get Shorty soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
Before we wrap up, music wise, what's your favorite soundtracks? Everybody that's here, if you want to put a comment down, that would be kind of cool as a wrap up. What's
Woo!
your favorite food? What's your favorite soundtrack all time? Like in terms of score, we're gonna make it score just to keep it nice and simple, not soundtrack. Score.
Um, talk about your easy questions. Thanks for
Hey,
throwing the softball there. That was a really easy one.
yeah.
I'm gonna say Danny Elfman's score to Batman Returns, which a lot of people didn't like that movie as much as the first one, but let me tell you why I like this score a lot. First of all, um, Danny Elfman creates great leitmotifs, which are like themes for each one of the characters. And then you can listen to that score without the movie and know exactly what's going on in that movie. It's a lot like a Carl Stalling kind of thing where he really creates music for that's reflecting what's going on. So, Batman comes in, just really quick little hits of that throughout. And then, he's got the crazy circus theme for the circus gang. And then Selena Kyle's theme is very slinky and cat-like. And um, it's a little dark. It's a little funny. It's a little humorous. It's a little Bernard Herrmann-y. It's a little Wagner. It's I love it for all those reasons, but it has a sentimental value to me as well because it's the first score that I remember really taking seriously. So I have a very fond memory of walking home in the snow. That wasn't the fond part of the memory, but walking home in the snow and having my headphones on and listening to that score. I had it on cassette tape and I was listening to it, and the snow's coming down. And I'm listening. I'm holding my trombone, and I'm listening to this movie. And I love Batman, and it just there have been a couple instances in my life where a score actually lined up perfectly with what was actually going on in reality. And as far as scores are concerned, that one will always hold a special place because of that moment. It just lined up perfect, and it left that permanent impression. All these years later, it still comes to mind, and I love it for that reason. So I love lots of music scores, but I think that one has a special sentimental slash comic book nerd slash early soundtrack exposure
And,
spot for me.
and for me, it's either Rocky One or Rocky Balboa. Like the book ends to the Rocky saga, because the first one it broke so much ground. It
Mm-hmm.
broke so much ground. But the last one, because I think it did it right, because they didn't deviate. I like Batman Returns is okay. It's just I think the story was a little too convoluted. I think they should have gone either all in on the Penguin or all in on Catwoman,
Mm-hmm.
and not both. That's my criticism of the movie. Like it's because they had two villains. It was just so divided, and it would have been much more interesting. Like they had Max Shrek, as a villain in there. Like technically, there's three villains, so
Right.
you could just like you could have cut one of the villains out. Like yeah, if you did Catwoman's story, you cut out Max Shrek and cut out Catwoman, and that's what you do. If you're doing the Penguin story, um, right? If you're doing the Penguin story, like really other than really just a friendly an interaction, Penguin story doesn't really have anything to do with Catwoman. It's almost like the film's disjointed a little bit, right? Because
Wait,
it's
allow me to put this together for you though, because I actually think that there's something smart there, right?
yeah,
So Batman and Penguin are opposites of the same coin,
sure.
right? And then Catwoman and Max Shrek are opposites of the same coin. And where do these four coins meet? But they meet at Batman and Catwoman, who also represent different things. And I think what Tim Burton and the writers of that movie did so well is to say, well, we're looking at separation of classes here, and we're also kind of investigating the effect that has, and also kind of doing it in a fun yet dark
Oh,
comic
no,
booky
oh
way.
no, no, absolutely. But I think though both characters didn't get the breathing room they deserved,
Mm,
right? There because there's more to both of their stories,
mm-hmm.
right? Um, and I think especially the Penguin there, because there's a lot of potential to go in some other really interesting areas as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, he like the fact that there was a decent human being, a bit of a decent human being inside the Penguin. He just saw himself as a monster, so he became what he saw himself as, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is a very tragic story, actually.
Yeah.
And right, you could have explored that more. But no, like that's why I think people like Batman versus the Joker is a very straightforward story in comparison to it. So this is my opinion. That
Yeah.
said, like I said, I like for me it's just like Rocky because it broke so much ground in terms of how things are filmed. Like and it was done like with so little budget. It's like it's amazing work how much art comes from problem solving of all things.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, I love that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So that's why I like that one so much, and I like Rocky Balboa because although it doesn't get quite the same touting as the other Rocky movies. It's a perfect capstone to that saga. Ignore Rocky 5; it didn't happen. And if you like montages, unless you like montages, you could ignore Rocky 4 too. It doesn't really matter. So, but
I mean, so many of the Rocky scores, I will never forget Eye of the Tiger and
yeah,
James Brown at the
yeah, that's Rocky
beginning
4,
of
right?
that.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
that one, Rocky 4 is a combination of the typical atypical 80s movie and
You're right.
like and like a musical. Like really like if you actually look at the movie in terms of actual footage, there's not a lot there, really. Like the first half hour is interesting and then there's like this robot that's there for no reason and Apollo gets killed. I
Right, the
mean,
robot.
right,
Oh, I
right, right.
forgot about
It
that.
doesn't make any sense, really. And then the second half is just is the training to fight the big bad evil Russian. Again, very typical 80s movie, and it's all musical scores. It's a fun movie, but it's
Mhm.
not like if you compare it to any of the other Rocky movies in terms of substance of story, it ain't there. Like it just
Right. Yeah.
right.
Well, it was like the classic '80s. Like we have to pick a bad guy. Let's pick the Russians. They're always the bad guy.
Yeah,
So we
right.
got
Because I can change, we all can change. Oh my
right.
god. Oh my
Yeah.
god. So,
Well, I
but
think
yeah,
Bill Conti. I mean, he did a lot of great scores in the '70s. But you're
oh,
right. With
absolutely.
Rocky, he hit his
That yeah, and that
big
horn sound
score.
apparently only like three people in the world can do that, which is just
Mm.
like I learned something wonderful when I was looking at that score. But, so Kris, I'm just gonna say, man, before we wrap up, um, dude, I'm really glad you're going for it. I can't. I don't. I
Thank
hope for your success. I really do. I'm. I. I believe you can. I believe you can. I believe you will. But even if it doesn't go like what I've learned in doing this is it never looks like what you imagine it would look
you.
like.
Hmm.
It's just about going out there and doing it and kind of just recognizing the parts of it that are you along the way.
Hmm.
Because honestly, like looking at my journey, yeah, it's like nothing I ever would have imagined. I would never imagine I'd be where I am right this minute. But looking back, it's like I don't know if I could have done it any other way. So just enjoy the ride and man, keep making great, beautiful things, my friend. Keep doing it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will take all positive energy that people want to send my way. I have a really exciting interview on Wednesday, which, if this lands, it will be a huge project. So I'm very excited about that. And then, yeah, the book
Okay,
is
I'll do the
done.
same.
The new book is done. Shady Lane Blues is finished. In fact, Josh, send me your email, and I'm going to send you a copy of it so you can read it before it's done.
Woo!
Before I
And that's
send
for
it.
everybody else right there. Support this. I wish you had told me about this much sooner in terms of like we're going to talk about your advertising strategies when this is over, but that'll said like Kris is a great writer. And honestly, if you haven't checked out Peerless, you should. It's probably my favorite book. It's probably again, it's my favorite comic book in the last year. So definitely check it out. Do you want we want to plug anywhere else for people to go to before we wrap up, my friend?
Please send people, or please anybody who's listening, go to my website, skinnykmusic.com. When you're there, you can find links to all the stuff that Joshua's posting here in the chat. You can find links to the Shady Lane Blues Kickstarter. You can also order Peerless from my website. And you can also get a lot of the music that you can listen to music. It's got links to my SoundCloud page. And I'm trying to move people to my mailing list because I'm sick and tired of dealing with algorithms. I've been posting about the Kickstarter for 3 weeks now, and I still have people going, I haven't even seen any of
No,
these
and
posts.
I haven't
It's
either.
so
Like
frustrating.
honestly, like this, like no, it's a terrible thing, right? Just like
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see it at all,
Yeah,
and it
it's
was
so
just like,
frustrating.
yeah,
So if you're on my mailing list, I promise that I will keep the emails relevant, and I try to do something positive with each one. So I've been talking about the themes of Shady Lane Blues in my last 2 issues, my last 2 newsletters, and
that's his
there's
mailing
going
list
to be
right
a
there.
lot of man, look at you finding stuff left and right. There's lots of exciting stuff coming up, and I'm excited to share it. I've got not only Shady Lane Blues coming out, but also more episodes of score sessions coming up. And then once the school year starts and my kids go back to school, and my wife is a teacher, so she goes back to school, I can guarantee you that the creating that's going to start happening is going to be fast and furious. I started writing a blog on my website a while ago where I was just putting short stories in there. Kind of like score sessions. I gave myself just a couple hours to write something and put it up, writing exercises. But I think some of the stories actually might deserve to be expanded upon. And then I have, like I said earlier, Jake Kelly and I are talking about collaborating again because we had so much fun working on Shady Lane Blues together. And obviously, there's 7 more issues of Peerless to put together. So lots of stuff coming up, lots of exciting things, and I want to share it with all of you. So the best way to do that is to sign up for my mailing list.
Will do. Well, I'm going to then take over because this has been, dude. You got to come back again some. You got to come back again another time. We'll talk about maybe we'll probably figure out what is the all-time favorite ice cream flavor next time or something.
Sounds
Right?
great.
Yeah, but a couple things. I got to start doing it too. This is my mailing list, so if you guys want to join it, what I'm going to be doing this. This is going to be a very special week, so I'm going to like mention it all here. This Wednesday is my first ever live musical performance / interview on my podcast.
Nice.
The band is called Zoo, and they are going to be on here. It's going to be an amazing time. It's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a little later than normal, but it's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to play a little bit from their sets. They're going to take questions. I'm hoping people can come in and want to listen, and because I've never done anything like this before. But like I said, like anything else in life, you live by doing. So that's going to be it. Also this week, I unveiled a cover to Alice One. So that's gonna be it. It's Kenzie killed it, man. Holy shit, she killed it. That's gonna be coming out November 1st. Tell people about my channel. Hit the like and follow, subscribe, and my YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. Hit the like and subscribe there if you guys have not already. Keep shining in the dark, and remember, at the end of the day, we're not all that different. So just make sure you treat everybody like you treat yourself. And hopefully that is for the best. Stay inspired, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with yet another exciting guest. All right?